The Igbos are known as a set of people living chiefly in southeastern Nigeria who speak Igbo as their language. Before European colonization, the Igbo were not united as a single people, but lived in autonomous local communities. Most Igbo traditionally have been subsistence farmers, their staples being yams, cassava, and taro. The other crops they grow include corn, that is maize, melons, okra, pumpkins, and beans. Among those still engaged in agriculture, men are chiefly responsible for yam cultivation, women for other crops. Land is owned communally by kinship groups and is made available to individuals for farming and building. The principal exports are palm oil and palm kernels. Trading, local crafts, and wage labor are also important in the Igbo economy. And a high literacy rate has helped many Igbo to become civil servants and business entrepreneurs in the decades after Nigeria gained independence. It is notable that Igbo women engage in trade and are influential in local politics. Thus, the Igbo of the mainland, whose tribal name means in Yoruba the earliest people, the forest people. It is pronounced Igbo in Yoruba accent. The descendants of the Herculean Bushmen are, along with the Sand Bushmen of southern Africa, the missing link in the human evolutionary and genealogical tree. These Herculeans, having evolved from the earth, lived under the earth and above it in mounds. They were integral to the ecosystem and worshipped the mother goddess. A team of researchers who made a field trip to Ugwele confesses to have made some surprising discoveries. In their words, according to the book They Lived Before Adam by Professor Catherine Acholonu, I quote, "We found a disused cave shrine at the highest hilltop in a village located high above the territory of Ugwele in Ngodo town. The shrine, which is called Isume, first breath, is a place where a goddess, or rather the mother or father god, known to the natives as Nemchuku, my mother, the supreme being, was worshipped in the days of yore. Her name and the name of the cave speak volumes. Nemchuku, my mother, the supreme being, calls to mind the eternal mother or father god of the Nag Hammadi, as well as Neka, and pronounced in Igbo as Neka, the supreme mother of the forest dwarfs, encountered by the immigrant Idu party in the Benin myth of origin, and confirms what all research has proved, namely that the first god known on earth is a mother deity. Isume, first breath, implies by its name that this cave was the place where man took his first breath after he lost his cosmic consciousness and divine nature." End of quote. Other conclusions from same team assert that the fact that mitochondrial DNA analysis conducted by teams of researchers from 4 different universities in USA placed the arrival of Homo sapiens on planet Earth between 200,000 BC to 280,000 BC. It is indicates that the Ugwele Herculean Igbos preceded hybrid Adam by at least 200,000 years.
From the book of Professor Catherine Acholonu, They Lived Before Adam. If you go through the book, it will show you that man has lived in Uturu almost 1 million years ago. We are not disputing the biblical version of human creation, but she is saying that man lived in Uturu. In fact, as an undergraduate of the University of Nigeria in 1977, I'm a graduate of mass communication. In 1977, I came down from Soka with now Professor Mose. From what he wrote, he said that Uturu stone artifacts were of the Acheulean age, and the Acheulean age was between 500,000 to 350,000 years before Christ. So man had lived in Uturu. And when you read of Acholonu's book, you find that most of the civilizations in other continents, they all started in Africa, and where in Africa is Uturu.
Did they actually live before Adam? Now, all out and deeper we go. Who really are these Uturians? We need to know, so let's find out. This cross-like junction is Okigwe Junction, or better still, Okigwe Roundabout. From the east is road leading to Owerri. To the west is way to Okigwe, link to Uturu, the main focus of our concern. To the north is road to Umuahia, and to the south is Enugu. Before now, events and history have been recorded and documentations regarding these have also been made and kept for succeeding generations to follow. Wrong or right, your guess might be same as mine. But the truth will always remain that documentations made in the past ages often depends on facts and figures on the ground or available to researchers at the time of documentation and circumstance surrounding the discoveries made at that particular time. This goes on to suggest that different factors might have played dominant role in shaping results of findings, discoveries, and assertions propagated at the time of documentation. More or less, not the fault of the researchers, but the availability of information they were exposed to.
Luck is something that I would say that comes to somebody in this world. There's a purpose why God brought every person to come out from a particular place. There's a purpose why God made me a Nigerian. God has all it takes to make me to be an American or from Europe or Britain. But in his own infinite mercy design, he made me to come from Uturu. And as these norms and values have been passed on, like it happens that you come to face reality. Those realities are what makes somebody's town known. Either it we call heritage site, or either it's called monuments. All over the world, people travel on tourism to go and see how the old, the past, the history of the people has moved on from the primitive time to what it has been today. So even technology, the improvement in technology, people travel to still go and watch the improvement.
Again, research findings does not always stop at the documentation of any particular research team, because it is often said that the eyes can only see through a visual sight, not beyond. So, we have an extremely tenable case study here, rewriting history to let the world have a better and more reliable information about the origin of the Igbos. Recently, a fresh team of researchers who did not throw away the initial findings or discoveries of other very experienced and notable historians, but worked extensively with their findings in consonance with recent discoveries for more authenticity and to further encapsulate all findings in one for better synchrony and more comprehensive understanding. The research team, which included down-to-earth specialists in research methodology, content development, African history, and experts in documentary film production, made a painstaking marathon trip to Isume Ngode Cave in Ugwele community, Uturu, and the experience was extremely expository, tasking, breathtaking, but all in all, fulfilling. First, the team visited the custodians of the cave to pay homage and to be directed or instructed on how to move, do's and don'ts, and what to expect. It was also an opportunity to know more about the existence, unique features, and importance of the cave.
I got winning out. My who go my head, you shed. I let you pull us. I like maps. And when I got the bomb.
One very significant of the history of Isume Cave, the most significant if you ask me, is about the goddess that inhabited the cave, the one they call Nemchuku, who also left the cave to settle at Arochuku for obvious reasons. The strong belief in her reign, power and authority, and the scriptural link to the Holy Bible in Revelation chapter 12 must not be overemphasized. Quoting Revelation chapter 12, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to God, and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And when the dragon saw that he was cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time, and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was angry with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which kept the commandment of God." End of quote. Everyone in the team was in high spirit at the time of setting out towards the cave. But something happened. The rain struck, and we were wild at the timing of the rain, exactly when we were to set out. A good thing though, it means our trip will be a success, because the rain is always seen as a sign of success and shower of blessings. And when the rain went down, we set out, and the road, the tracks, something else. This is Ohe Stream. One can actually shower here after a tiring long trek. We had to trek a very long distance, covering several kilometers from Uturumen town. You can feel the deep breath from all concerned. It's fatigue. Some already down and out. Sanctification and cleansing by our chief priest to make the place worthy of entrance. We used a power generating set for 2 main reasons: to light up the cave and drive away wild animals. This is the main section of the cave, where it is believed the early men lived, the acclaimed origin of the Igbo-speaking nation. The chief priest performs some cleansing rituals for easy entrance. Everyone needed to wash his head under the waterfall to be safe from insects' bite, especially bees. There is a strong belief that with faith, a woman assumed to be barren can drink from this water and be able to conceive. Everyone also needed to have a feel of the ancient abode, at least to experience what it was like. None of the crew members was left out, even me. The hunters had to go first, in case some wild animals are still left in there. We were still on course at the middle of the thick forest hilltop when another rain, heavier than the first one, started. We could see it raging from afar, but we were helpless. No option, nowhere to run. It was a heavy downpour that everyone had to cut from the undesired cake. Thank goodness, somehow, we were able to protect all our high-definition cameras and other delicate equipment. The search took this very formidable team to Isochi, one of Igbo-speaking ancient towns. Our findings was in line with what we were looking for. Our confirmation that Igbos actually originated from Uturu. We were almost stunned at the revelation that Uturu even has a traceable history of large family expansion up to Yoruba land, Hebrew, and so on.
onye bịara abịa ga-amata usoro omenala maka ọjị na-aga na omenala.
Isi mmalite Igbo ọ bụ Uturu bụ isi wee malite ya wee jee sesibala ụwa dum. Ị gakwa ala National Archive ị ga-ahụ ya mgbe a na-achọ nchọ ka a mara ihe eji wee mara Igbo ebe nweta ebulu ugwu ele Uturu ndị o doro anya ijikwela ka Israel ndị a na-akpọ Hibru mbụ Igbo ha na ebe a ndị ha kwetara ha bụ ndị Igbo ebe ka ha si malite ọ ebe a ngwara ugwu ele Uturu nna jikọtara ochi na Uturu onye a na-akpa ana mgbe ha wee mụsa ochi wee mụmụ ụmụ nke ya basaba ana mgbe mụma nke ya basaba ụmụrụ Isuọfịa dị na Anambra ọ mụrụ Isi ụlọ ọ dị na Anambra ọ mụrụ Ugwueme ọ mụrụ Na-enwe nta ọ mụrụ Umuhuọgwụ ọ mụrụ Isunjaba Udatu Tegete mbịa Musaba Musa ka ịbịa n'ala Igbo ije na Yoruba o mere ese ndị otu Yoruba aka eze ọrọ ọdụnkwa ụmụ ya anọghị ị ga na-ewe ị ga-ahụ ya otu aka esi wee mụsị ya so isi Igbo bụ n'Uturu ka ọ dị.
Most communities in Igbo land, their name are derived from Uturu. And I'm asking myself, why is it that most names in Igbo land has the same name in Uturu? And if you want to know where Uturu people are, go to every community. If you go to every community in Igbo land and southern Nigeria, like they said, the Omok people are Uturu people that left on traditional medicine journey to help cure diseases, to help give people rain, to help pacify the gods. And that's where anywhere you see Uturu people, there are two sections of people in that community. There are the people that have that are there who have settled. And there are other people where they go to receive their power or consult the god to be able to take care of their children and their land. Those people are always custodian of the nature and culture of that particular town. Those people are Uturu people. It is when you had moved on to a particular town and discovered the land and you settled, you come back home to take the native doctor from the people to go and pacify the land so that you can build and reside in that house. So see how the pattern of movement. It is when they continue on the journey and find any cave, underground settlement that they can go in and live, they will find a home in it. They moved here, settled at Ibuku, some settled at Nri. All of them, you'll find the hole like a form of cave where they stay. If you go further and ask them, the information they have is that they also came from Uturu. As you continue to search, you see that all of them, the little they can remember by their great-grandfathers is telling them that they are not from here, that they marched on to that particular land and they've resettled. The astrologers, they should come to Uturu. They are a way to check the wave and current of the land you are standing, what it is made up of. It is all here. If you go to Ngwa, you will see Uturu people. Omwa, you will see Uturu people. Amokwe in Udi are Uturu people. All of them are there. But people, when an empire has gone down, it is difficult for you to associate with an empire that has gone down. But now that we are saying that this world is opening up for people to identify with where they are from, a lot of people are now speaking out, because it is no more time for you to say that that everything that concerns our culture are evil. There are good in every person's culture. If medicine is falling back to hereditary, it's falling back to natural herbs for finding cure to major sicknesses, it means that whatever that is happening to us can as well be associated with our heritage. Finding our heritage can keep us alive. Finding where we belong can keep us alive. So this is one thing that left Uturu and the people that are in Uturu no choice than to bring back all our brothers, all the people that have left Uturu. Even when you read further, you understand that after the flood period is what anthropologists and historians were able to put bits and pieces with their own finding. Even the carbon reading from the stone here will tell you it's over 3 million years that people started in Uturu.
In Uturu, the focus of our search, we touched on all communities and villages, and every sentence from all our respondents seemed right, that ordinarily there was no need to continue the search. But we persisted because of two basic reasons. One, we needed a more holistic and accurate information, so we had to dig deeper. And two, every community we visited provided leads for one or two other communities, where we can also get more information and discoveries. So, we visited almost all communities mentioned that has one link or the other with Uturu, and revelations were everything to write home about. Here, our experience in Uturu.
Here is the Ugwel Autonomous Community, Uturu. in the Sukwata local government area of Abia State, Nigeria. This community, from the creation of the world, was made unique by God Himself. Otu ihe ị ga-eji mata bụ o nwere ihe nnobu n'ebe a na-akpọ nne m Chukwu. That nne m Chukwu ahụ mgbe ọ fụrụ ya bụ mgbe ọ fụrụ were gaa dowe gawa fụwa n'ihi a na-enye ya nsogbu eji iwe ya na-enye nsogbu ajụọ nka ji ka akọrọ anyị. Then that nne m Chukwu ahụ left something a na-akpọ ọfọ ahụ nke ọ dụbụ na ezi anyị ebe a. And ịbịa n'ala Igbo niile ihe ọ pụtara bụ jide ọfọ ahụ bụ ihe ndị Igbo ji aga ebe dum. And that Chukwu ahụ mpụrụ n'ebe a o nwere ihe mere na o wee lawa wee nye ọfọ ahụ si ka e were na-echeta ya. Ọfọ ahụ bụ emekwala ihe ọjọọ, dokwa aka gị ọtọ, nyechi iwu dị iche iche. Iwu ahụ niile dị iche iche bụ n'obodo niile gara n'Igbo ajọ gị iji ya anyị na-ekwu ejikwa ọfọ. And o nweghị ebe ọzọ ọfọ ya ahụ dị ọrụ ezi anyị ebe a. So nke abụọ bụ na be anyị a o nwere ndị bi mgbe ahụ bụ ha jee kpee ekpere kpokuo Chukwu Obiọma, ewepụtara ha okwute ha ga-ewepụtara ha ka ha ga-eji were gbujie ihe ọbụla ha chọrọ. Ịma ayọn mgbe ọ pụtara ka o nwere oge oji pụta nwee mgbe ayọn na-adọrọ. So mgbe ayọn ahụ adọrọ dị ka ndị mmadụ si egbujisi ihe a na-egbuji na be anyị a ka e nwere n'ugwu ele a ka e nwere ihe ahụ eji egbujisi ihe the first ayọn bịa.
If you go to a place we call Isume, you will see that some people were living there. Both human beings during that time, both human beings and those who are spiritually have spirits were living there. It was from here that people started going from place to place. There's no place you go in this Igbo land, you will not get a name that originated from this Uturu.
I think to a lot of people it's not questionable. I know history sometimes get missing, but any well-informed person in Igbo land knows that Uturu is number one. You look at the land mark of Uturu as at today. Formerly, it was almost infinite. Formerly, we don't even have boundary with Arch and all these people and so on. No, but we have just left because we cannot manage them. Yes, it is made by God. That is why also, even though it looks like we were backward, not as at 50 years ago. In fact, you come to the whole of this area, Uturu had the first secondary school. It was only later they seemed to have overtaken us, just for only 5 years. And after God and Uturu restored their glory. And when you think of what is around Uturu now, you can understand that God has already made Uturu opera. And when you look at around us here. Let me not start mentioning them. You know what I'm talking about. In terms of education, in terms of everything, human resources, you know that God actually has wished us to be number one. Even though we slacked back for about 10 years, today we are on top again. So we thank God for making us number one.
The generation of Igbos came from Utru. When Utru came here, Enna, our great-great-great-grandfather, when he came here with his team, nobody existed within all these environs. So from here they took off. Then started to expand. As they move, it took time. It's not just something that happened in one day. So when they settled where they were, some started coming back to settle. So pitch themselves where they are. We had that Isume cave where people lived, the prehistoric people. Then the Enna came and still occupied that place. Some of his men, not himself, because they spread, his children and his team spread. Some entered the caves and lived in there. I mentioned the Isume cave, I mentioned the Nkumajaba, I mentioned the Omamba Hill. So when they lived there, they had engineers who fabricated these spoons you call, these things you call spoons, ancient relics. They were found there. Even the government has dug out something, another terracotta from the soil at Uguele. So they took it to a museum. It's there. So we had ancient Utru engineers. If you go to Uguogo, there's one type of stone which from where they smelted iron from the stone. So those things are known there. They are still there existing. The relics are still there existing. We call them aga. That's a type of stone. You don't use it for any other thing now, but it lies there. When you fire a stone, from it you get rock, from it you get iron. With this iron, they fabricated spoons and arrows and spears and what have you, and hoes.
We grew up now, all our life as we were growing up, we started having traces of our strong belief in what makes a true person have additional value. Our people are stickler to total cultural values. History has it that our people have stood and fought with the Scottish people, fought with the Roman people. They refused any atom of change of attitude in what they believe in. It is what we are going to see. People came, destroyed the origin of man, and the few that could reach out and speak out of what is to be heard made impact. Who is an Uturu man? When the missionaries destroyed everything that has to come from Uturu to say the origin of man, what document again do you need? Now we're saying in Egypt, a lot were written about Egypt. And today archaeologists are now rewriting the entire history that have been documented before. How the mummies died, what they had and what did not hear, because they are rewriting it by seeing a more better evidence. Now, there are information that you can use to disprove what had been documented earlier. Within the time who compiled the paper on Britannia or dictionary or whatever, when he operated, if nobody gave him access to come all the way to Uturu, or access to go and use a carbon reading, dig out something from that point and to see, you wouldn't know anything. In Yobe State, a part of Yobe State, if you drop any pin on the ground in a particular place where you call desert, every crop just continue to blossom. Dry season, wet season. One man decided in 1993 to start digging for well and met some hardwood
right inside the well and was wondering, why is he meeting wood? Because when you dig a little bit of maybe 20 feet, you see fresh water. Then the man called the attention that he met something on the ground. They brought Germans to unveil the canoe. A canoe has been there since life immemorial, and there's no river. If the Israelis did not understand the topo of what happened between Egypt and this, they wouldn't have followed the pattern. They would have been displaced, is it not? But today they were able to trace Egypt because Egypt is a civilized point. So they kept those, their language, kept their sites together because they were able to match knowledge with what they had before. Who had knowledge in this part of the world? It was all zero. You were conquered and conquered for life. So that's why if you say that you don't have anything within the encyclopedia and the information they have, many histories are being rewritten today. Both in India, a lot of things, facts are coming up to destroy what people have written within the purview they wrote. Now more researches. Of course, even the same dictionary and the things they wrote, they said it is still subject to future research. In intellectual practice, you can finish your research and finish your book. You will stop at where your eye can control, and you leave it open for people to continue with. Even science, you prove you can distort any of the information you have. If you have it's not hypothesis, it's total theory. We are saying that the available information today has given credence. I cannot write anything and put on the internet. I have not written one. It's just because I started reading books, and traditional people will meet different places, continue to refer to Uturu as their home place. And we get puzzled. And then I was discussing it on NTA, and some people started calling in and said, to support what you are saying, we checked on the internet and this information about your hometown, the Uturu caves. That's how information like this started coming. We're only trying to propagate what is right, and it's still subject to verification and to check. And that's why I said anybody that is free should go around the world and get more facts, ask more people. You are an investigative attitude now, trying to find out more. You've gone so wide to get information beyond Uturu people. Where are their brothers anywhere? There's Uturu in Delta. They're still maintaining the same name, Uturu. In Oboduku, the same way they operate with the native doctors, the same way our people operate with native doctors. And they're always custodian of a particular thing, wherever they are. So almost all the native doctors that is scattered all over are all operate. These are people that used to worship the goddess, do the things that to keep the land together. And we're saying, if you think it's a lie, we're not saying there's any other thread that came from Uturu. These are custodians, where they came with the heritage. And that's what they disseminated around, and that's what they are known for.
With the information available, facts and figures on ground, pictures and video clips to show, and the fact that opinions from all communities visited point fingers towards Uturu, confirming one link or the other with them, have wiped out any doubt from wherever that Igbos would have originated from somewhere else other than Uturu. But for so long now, this unity has remained the greatest undoing of the Igbos, because as it were, we have derailed from our basics and have failed to accept the truth and recognize the importance of our origin and heritage. So, many unanswered questions have been asked. When will Igbos come together and reason as one? Brothers and sisters, now that we know the truth. Having ascertained this truth, what else is there to do or say than to extend a hand of fellowship to all well-meaning Igbos as partners in progress, as history is being rewritten, a rebirth that is worth participation, that must be upheld. Igbos far and near, at home and in the diaspora, Uturu, your origin and ancestral homeland, is happy to inform you that Nemchuku has not forgotten her offspring, Rather, she wishes that all her children recognize their heritage and to trace their way back home, where they belong.
I'm just a passage to preach this thing for people to come together and come to Uturu and go back to that cave where we all came from and honor the system and make it a monumental thing of what celebrating. That what brought us, and me in particular, to put money in the cultural carnival that should bring the entire Igbo people to where their beginning was.
Uturu Cultural Carnival is a brainchild of well-meaning Uturu people led by Chief Gregory Ike Ibe, the Omeroha One of Uturu. It is hosted on every December. The history of Uturu Cultural Carnival came as a challenge from the vision of one man to change the lifestyle of the hard-working Igbo people to a fun spot where the average Igbo man can unwind and relax with family and friends after a whole year of doing business, since it is also a time when an average Igbo man seeks to reunite with his ancestral home. It was at this point that the visionary leadership of Chief Ike Ibe was moved to seek different opinion and invite different groups and friends, whoever cared to listen to him, talk about Uturu, the ancestral home of the Igbo nation. The first edition, which was a huge success, initially seemed unrealistic because many did not understand the practicality of the event at that point, as there was no defined mode or its non-existence in the past. Talk less of achievability, but to turn that idea that was only shared into reality. This event today can be said to be the beginning of the future of this great nation, Ndibu, and Nigeria in general. As we approach the end of the year and the race towards the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ and the joy of carnivals, which can be traced back to the festival of Saturnalia in ancient Rome, it spreads through Europe and Brazil, where the festivities got mixed with the culture of the migrants, African population and indigenous American Indians. Today, it has a global character yet to be surpassed worldwide. The inception of an organized carnival with infusion of our traditional culture and roots in Africa represent the completion of an orbit of ambulation of carnival from Europe to America and now to Africa. The Uturu Carnival is stepping into its beginning phase, and it's ready to become the carnival of all Africans. Surviving the outgoing year and ushering the dawn of another year, we are bound to witness various festivals commemorating this page. But the festivals are not reserved to the last month of the year alone, for communities all over the world are intrinsic in festivity and seek the smallest reason to be merry. From biblical times, societies have held parties to celebrate everything from birth, victories in war, victories in sports, and whatever can give an excuse for having a good time. In festivities, something can be made out of nothing. Tomatoes Festival, which started as a naughty child's play, is today a major tourism money spinner. Think also of the Mask Festival of Venice in Italy and the Calabar Carnival Festival, to mention but a few. These festivals all bring good fortune to the host cities and its people. In Uturu and the entire Igbo nation, it will be 3 days of revelry, 2 sizzling days of non-stop partying, eating and drinking. Crazy, isn't it? That is the true inner spirit of man. Live a good life and have great fun. In some countries, they take 1 full week of holidays. In some religions, it runs for 2 weeks. So, in Uturu, why not give to Igbo nation, Nigerians and a greater part of Africa as a whole, a playground where you can check in anytime you wish, but you may never wish to leave. This is the reason for the season. Let's make it worth the while. Let's roll out the drums and let the party begin in Uturu. And indeed, the entire Igbo nation. Ndibo, none. For 2009 edition, so much activities were lined up to make the carnival an enviable one. All villages arrive with their different cultural displays, then procession to Uturu Royal Country Club. Fireworks, other various activities and merriments. Our people is governed by their culture, tradition and belief systems. The dry wood that exists within a town makes fire for the indigenes. A town may be very far, but it is obviously closer to some set of people. Whatever belief one has works for him. For us, Uturu is a cradle of human civilization.
omenala a na-eme mgbe mbụ bụ igbugasị ọkụkọ na njọkụ. But now chọọchị anụmanụ eme anyị eme chọọchị egbere ihe. And mgbe mbụ a na-aga n'ụmụ ọ bụ ndị chọọchị melasịrị ụmụ onye ga-agawa n'ụmụ asụgụ ha bụ ịda n'iwu. Onye mere onwere onye mmadụ omenala lala. Ndị mmadụ achọ ka eme omenala ya la. Ọ bụ ihe ndị mma. Nwanne hụ nwanne ya lụọ ya ọ dị nsọ. Mgbe na-ehụ nwanne ya ekpewe ya iko ọ dị nsọ. Ọ bụ otu ọ dị mbụ. Mgbe ị gara na a na-eri iji ga-egwere nwa ọkụkọ a na-egbu ma ọ bụ ga-egwere nwa ụtaka ọkụkọ isi ọkụkọ gaghị ibe nne gị ga-nye ha o gosiri na onye a bụ ikwuli ibe gị.
Obodo niile nwe omenala anyị ọ na-emeli usoro oge iri ji ebe eme ya oge egwuregwu eme ya onwe oge iri ji a na-agbacha mgba emecha ihe niile dị iche iche like oge awa n'ụbọchị taa ọ bụ ụbọchị egwuregwu iji cheta omenala.
Another very important revelation is the fact that Onuzo, a big family or kindred in Ugwele community Uturu, is traditionally the first to eat new yam annually before every other community in Uturu.
Yam is being eaten. And in Uturu here, you don't touch yam not until a particular community eats yam every year. They were the first that were used as guinea pig to test the issue of testing that particular fruit that was found. And then they ate it, and this group of people never died, and that's why we still respect them to test the yam. There's no other place. Irigin Igbo ought to start. They should acknowledge the fact there are things that will show where we are.
Alakwa eme ya gudugudu kama ọ bụ ndị ọkọbịa ụzọ isi bịa ọhịa ọwa esi ọhụ ọ bụghị ha ji esi pute ha ji esi pute bụ ụzọ ndị na nga ha jikwara nwa afọ mụrụ di m kakọ.
From Uturu, the team proceeded to Arochukwu, where it is believed that the first goddess that inhabited the hilltop, Isume Ngodo Cave in Uturu, moved to.
Which is cave. On Ibino Babi Abu, Yende became grass now long. I'm a Ibino Babi, and openly be guide. All by I wouldn't be guide as in all justice, all you big bear, zide. The Hebrew do to the Gamu Kuparon, the Gano to Ta, the Ghana family, late Fabian Nabu. Who wouldn't have one out never. Dedika Ezekiel Paul Lodge, my passing Lodge, my passing was had one Allah.
Nri, the acclaimed ancestral homeland of Ndibo, also saw our legs as the team was on ground to find out which is which.
Discoveries a show indication that the cradle of this war started 600 million years ago. Already 4,000 Ghana, no, 600 million years ago. And then there was a second creation, case name the explosion that exploded, and then there was this war. And not the other side of the explosion, kind of at the beginning of the war. The bomb theory doesn't have a beginning for this war. They tell you that there was an explosion, all the entire thing there, and then the entire place became like mountain. Then the war started from after a while. This degenerated to the other one degenerated to the other, coupled of explosion until there was water. Kind of idea, those on a propound. They come with evidence in their research. And now from this idea, I mention how to and Okigwe area. Now cover that then with some discovery, then we'll have some mountain and hard rock. The egg discovery that took several years back, or millions and millions of years ago. But this is the one. Just aside the other section that says that the world is about 4,000 years old, told us about the coming of Abraham and how Abraham started his own work until the coming of Jesus Christ.
Next port of call was on Hafia Udumeze. We were received in a grand style. They told us their own part of the story, which was in line. They added more glamour with the presence and performance of the war dancers. Excerpts from a book titled The History and Culture of Ahafia, collected by N.E. Obuba, recounts that nearly all Ahafia villages recruited their medicine men from Uturu.
The real core Igbos, who are warlike, fierce, dependable, may have started from there. They wear that attribute of being firm, warlike, fierce, dependable, and strong-minded. Gega, Lok Banta, and Lok Buku. The formation Naji Birobi one just exactly as we live. There are compound squares with the oko and all those trees. One exactly in Tinkanji Gwadeba.
Abriba was not left out of the history-making towns we visited. Having a strong ancestral link with Uturu and theirs was also a revealing experience.
As a matter of fact, after our people settled in here, they were very adventurous. They went to so many areas, built a lot of bonds and relationships, threaded in so many things, like during the slave trade period, the hunting took us to those areas. We built bonds, relationships in so many ways. From Uturu Okigwe area, we combed this situation from there, and it ended us usually at Aruchuku. That was a major relationship. Another one was in the area of craftsmanship. When you talk about the Igbos or the blacksmith trade, the Okigwe Uturu area has a linkage between us themselves and the Oka area. So the blacksmith trade thrived in those areas. There are so many other things that brought us together. Because when we came here, we didn't just stay in isolation. We started moving. We made so many relationships in leaps and bounds. So whatever that was invoked then, we were part and parcel of it within this area.
The team also went to Arundi Zogo, digging deep.
One characteristic of the Igbo man is that anywhere he settles, he calls it his home. He invests there, develops it, even to the detriment. In fact, that's a book I wrote. I said, like Ojike, we say, I have two countries. The Igbo man has two homes, two countries. His resident state and his home state. The Igbos in particular abandoned the home state and invest and develop the resident state. Our forefathers met some original settlers and lived harmoniously well with them. However, with time, a pharaoh arose that did not know Joseph. You know what I mean? Well, when the offsprings of these original settlers grew up, they looked at the arrows as strangers and began to persecute them and to call them non-indigens.
Other towns visited for the same purpose includes Obahu, Ezinachi, Ihite-Ehube, Umoji, and so on.
Leadership has started here in Igbo land ever before the arrival of the colonial masters. So when the colonial masters came, he installed warrant chiefs, those people to work with him. That is just a similar thing to what you are saying. So people lived in caves in those days until they adopted what is called settled life. They settled somewhere and then started to make temporary shelter. There are caves around here. People move from there in the olden days. Move from there if they want to go to market. They immediately they enter that cave and move to Uturu, Nkwachara to buy food. After buying food, they enter into it and then trek up to that place and then go to Ezinachi and Oge. The cave is still there. I saw it during the boundary demarcation between Abia and Imo.
An Igbo person is hardworking. Wherever he goes, he establishes, and he will make a home there. He will fight to become somebody. That is the nature of Igbo man, and he struggles a lot. He doesn't look sideways in order to achieve success. The history stated that Uturu, Nachi, Ebagro, Ihu, they started their journey from somewhere. Some say Oposi, others say Ohafia and Afipo. When they were marching, they came to Uturu and settled there for some time. Then Uturu found out that Uturu is a suitable place for him to relax. He lived there, and the others marched forward to Ihube. That is Ebagro, Ihu, and Nachi.
We were also opportune to be with high-profile Uturians who brought themselves together under the umbrella of Uturu Development Union, UDU, New Jersey Branch, USA, in an event they hosted in 2009, in a bid to accommodate contributions from Uturians in the diaspora. Igbos, we are a blessed generation. Igbos, we are very strong and industrious. Igbos, we are the wise ones. Let us act accordingly. Long live Ndibo, the wise from the east. Long live Africa. Long live all the people of the world.